Broadcasting from the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, to around the globe. You're listening to Shark Bite Biz, your exclusive place for business strategy, sales, marketing, and tech in the roaring 20s. And now, here's your host, David Strausser.
I'm David Strausser. Welcome to another edition of Shark Bite Biz, the business podcast that's your place to learn how to grow a business during a global pandemic. Today, we have a great guest. Our guest is in one of the hardest hit industries across the country. Yeah, I'm talking about the restaurant business. Depending where you're located, you still may not be able to have indoor dining. It's been hard on this industry. Historically, they have razor thin margins. You add that with shutdown, limits to how many people can be at a restaurant at a time, how far apart, indoor regulations for the head count or percentage or whatever. They're really only able to operate at a fraction of their ability. The industry really has had to digitally evolve in order to find different ways to be able to grow and survive. Restaurants that were against using services before, like Uber Eats, Grubhub, things like that, now they have to embrace them as a lifeline to survive. It's an industry that has had to rapidly evolve, essentially overnight, and it's still constantly changing. Our guest today is Shawn Walchef, an entrepreneur in the restaurant space, podcast host, and a family man with a new kid that just arrived. As the founder of the Cali BBQ Media, he's helping restaurants pivot during this critical time. He has his own podcast, kind of like Shark Bite Biz, that does essentially what we do, but he does it for the restaurant industry. His restaurants, though, themselves, very successful, and they've catered to teams like the San Diego, now the LA Chargers, the San Diego Aztecs, and even the San Diego Gulls hockey team, and many, many more places, and really successful business that he has all around with all that he is doing. I know usually my intros are a little bit longer, but there's so much value in this episode from so many different perspectives, business owner to general entrepreneur to media personality with his podcast. I just want to bring Shawn on in here. So let's jump right to the interview, and I'll see you all after.
Reach your customer.
Hey, Shawn, thank you so much for being here in Shark Bite Biz. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me on, David.
No problem. As all our listeners and viewers know, we have a tradition here. Very first question, softball. Really easy. Tell us, what's your background, your experience? What do you do?
I own a barbecue media company in San Diego. So we've been in the restaurant business for the last 12 years, and more specifically, the barbecue media business probably for the last 5 years. We opened in a part of San Diego that was very difficult, 2008.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody that was in real estate or hospitality told us it wasn't the best time to be opening a restaurant, wasn't the best location to be opening a restaurant, but it's really proven to be the greatest blessing in disguise, because we struggled a lot to find out what were we selling, find out what we were doing, get people to care about who we were and what we were offering. And in order to do that, we learned how to use the internet and the smartphone, more specifically, all the apps that started to explode: Facebook, Yelp, Instagram, Twitter, TripAdvisor, you name it. We were on it trying to figure out how to get people to care about our business. And that put us into a place where now we put on a weekly podcast called Digital Hospitality. Yep. We produce YouTube videos, and we also help other small businesses get their message out through content creation.
Oh, that's awesome. So you said Cali BBQ Media. What is barbecue media? What is that exactly?
Well, our inherent belief is that every single business should be in the media business. Okay. So once you start treating marketing like creating content and like a media company would, then the world starts to open up in ways that you'd never thought possible. So as a small business that had to learn how to create digital marketing, so we had to figure out how to promote our brand, how to post things on Instagram, how to take better photos, to take better videos, to create audio content, to create written text. That was all about us. Once we started creating media content about all the things that were happening around us, meaning what was happening with our vendors, what was happening with our customers, what were happening with local charities, what was happening essentially in the village, then we were creating media content. So it wasn't about us. We were just part of the story. We were documenting the story. And in order to do that, we had so many different kinds of opportunities that came to us as a barbecue company that would have never come otherwise.
So just when you say barbecue company, you're talking barbecue food, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So the engine that drives...
I'm a foodie, so I want to hear about the food part.
Selling barbecue. Absolutely. So we sell, it's Kansas City style barbecue. I mean, we're in San Diego, so we know that we're not one of the meccas of barbecue, but we participate in the Kansas City Barbecue Society, which is essentially the NFL of competition barbecue. We host amateur barbecue events. We host professional barbecue events. We're members of the National Barbecue Association. We cook slow smoke barbecue. We have Old Hickory pits, which come out of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. We slow smoke our brisket. We slow smoke our ribs. Everything's done on our Old Hickory fresh every single day. And that's the thing about barbecue. Is in order to do barbecue correctly, you need time and you need expertise. Thankfully, I found somebody with expertise, and that's a man by the name of Gene Goycochea, who's our pit master. He's the one that taught us the craft of barbecue. Awesome. And cooking.
I love that title. So just for some clarity here, the barbecue business itself, then, did that open up in 2008 as well too? Was that combined? Okay.
It was a sports bar, essentially. We took over a full liquor license. So there was an existing breakfast restaurant that my business partner and we took over and added a dinner and a sports bar. So the Type 47 liquor license allowed us to sell beer, wine, and hard alcohol in a part of San Diego where there really wasn't a place where you could bring your family and enjoy the game. It was more dive bars and corporate restaurants where we were located.
What part of San Diego?
The barbecue came.
Was it in?
East County, San Diego, so Spring Valley, which is closer to La Mesa before El Cajon.
Right. I lived in El Cajon. My daughter was born at the La Mesa hospital right there. She was in the NICU for about 3 months. So, very familiar with that whole area. I wish when I was out there, I would have. I'm a huge barbecue fan, so I do get out there though twice a year, and I will be there next time.
What year was your daughter born?
She was born in 2012. So
okay.
I mean, I was down in Tijuana since about 2001, but I was working in San Diego there. So I've always had the San Diego, Baja California connection. Very interesting.
That proves the point is that no matter how loud we think we are on the internet or how loud we think we are in the village, there's always more people that still don't know of who we are and what we do. And that's one of the reasons why we do the podcast every week and we have the guests on that we have on is because there's never been a greater time to promote your business and promote what you're doing in your community, your products, your services, and doing that through, digital media content creation. Do you think,
now this is my personal take, I'd love to hear yours. I think, and I started this podcast during the pandemic out of necessity. I wasn't able to go out and network. I wasn't able to do the events, all that fun stuff that I used to do out in LA when I lived there, San Diego, Philly now. It all ceased. There was no way for me to go out, network, meet awesome people just like you. So I kind of did it as a necessity. But what I found is because everybody's kind of quarantined, most people are in the, homebound more. They have a lot more time on their hands. So that is essentially, they're looking for content, for things to listen to learn, to grow professionally as well, too. Have you found that during this pandemic at all?
It's different for me because I found podcasting in 2017. Right. Once you get into audio content creation and more B2B, where you're revealing secrets, not only the things that people do well, but the things that people do poorly. It allows you to develop relationships with people in different businesses and different industries that you probably never would have expected otherwise. The pandemic certainly has brought more awareness to content creation in a way that I think most B2B businesses never thought that maybe people would care about their podcast, or they would care about what they were talking about. But I find that very interesting, because no matter what business you're in, there's always, the industry conference or, the industry magazines. And yet those specific media outlets or event outlets that are covering the industry, they could be doing the same thing as creating that same content with a keynote speaker that comes to Vegas. And this is the show that they do every year, yet they're not repurposing that content so that somebody that is curious, that wants to improve their sales, or they want to improve, whatever facet of business they're in. We live in an on-demand world. People want, if you're fascinated about something, if you want to be better, you can go to Apple Podcasts and search whatever your niche is. You can go to YouTube and search your niche.
I think
go to Spotify, whatever. I think
it's the personal connection as well too. I kind of feel in this day and age, corporations are, for better or worse, but they're kind of getting a little bit of a bad rap, I think, culturally. And I think people are more looking towards individuals, personalities that are kind of backed by a brand, instead of looking at a major brand in the front. Do you find validity to that?
Absolutely. I think, humans are the heart of technology, and humans are the heart of a brand. So if you don't have a brand, if you don't have a CEO, if you don't have a leader that's willing to take a stance, to be vulnerable, to, come out and say what the company values are, people are more compelled. I'm more compelled to that. I know my wife is. I know the people I surround myself are, because you want to know more. I mean, we've never had so much access to information. And now when you do have access to information, you want to be smart about how you spend your money. I mean, I'm a new father, and I want to know, when we go and we pick a daycare, I want to know, what does the daycare actually stand for? Who are the people that are actually going to be taking care of my son? And those things are important. Before, I don't think they were as important, but certainly now in 2020 and beyond, I think we're all being a little bit more smart with how we're choosing to spend our dollars.
Well, do you think that I don't know if it's not as important. I think it may have been just important before, but the big difference, like you were saying, is that it is more accessible now. And I think that's what's allowing people to give it more importance.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's multiple things that are happening. People have asked me, friends that I have that are very successful in different fields, in law and insurance and in finance. They've always asked me, why do I promote ourselves as much as I do? Why am I on the internet? Why am I on Instagram? Why am I sharing on Facebook things that are more personal than just sticking to barbecue, sticking to, the restaurant? And my argument with them is that, first of all, it is who I am. I can't not stop myself from being who I am and sharing what I do share. That has become one of my strengths the more that I've leaned into it. But on the other hand, it's also helped me create an environment that helps with recruiting. When people are out looking for a job in the hospitality space and they're looking at all the options, they are more compelled to know that, the CEO, the founder of the company, is actually out willing to share, on the day that I laid off 29 employees because of coronavirus. This was a tough time. This was the toughest time for me in my professional career. It was calling every single one of our servers and bartenders and letting them know, unfortunately, we don't have a job for you.
No, that's gotta be.
But by doing that, that's the strength. That's the strength in knowing that I'm not going to hide and just not have a state, or just send out a tweet that becomes, this is our corporate official. This is what the company thinks. Like, no, this is what I think. It's our company.
No, that's good.
Do I have all the answers? No, I don't have all the answers.
It's transparency. And it also goes to, it just makes you not that corporate robot, like you were saying, just sending out a blank tweet. It's giving you the ownership over the thoughts. It's showing that you are human. You're a real person. And I think having that this day and age is really critical, because I think people have become numb to corporate messaging and stuff like that to a degree, because we're all bombarded from ads from here, from there, and we've kind of grown to ignore it a little bit. And by having that personal effect to it, it's letting people see you as the human you are. And hopefully that leads to them wanting to work with you, respect you, whatever it may be.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. Early on, we have always been very against stock photos.
Yeah.
Whether they were digital photos, where you can buy stock photos of barbecue because they're high quality. Well, it's high quality and it's fake. It's not our barbecue. I'd rather have a shitty iPhone video or iPhone photo of barbecue that you'll actually eat in our restaurant than I will spend money on something that you'll never eat in our restaurant. And that goes not just for food, that goes for who we are. That's where we show up in events. Like, we want it sexy, but we also want it authentic. Authentic is more important than sexy.
Barbecue. That's going to be one of the key words on this video. So I want to touch on a topic that you just talked about, because on this show, I tried to highlight 3 different things. 1 is expertise. 2 is the individual, and 3 is like the small business owner aspect of it as well too. You working in the restaurant industry, you've been hit extremely hard. You just mentioned that you had to lay off 29 employees because of that. How, I guess there's multiple questions I have, if you don't mind discussing, but first one is, overall, how hard were you hit back March, April, May, in those time periods?
Well, yeah, we had 56 employees and I laid off 29. This was something that was unexpected. Right. Obviously, we weren't planning for coronavirus. I don't think anyone was planning for coronavirus. But one of the things that has been, the blessing that we have known is coming is that the full service restaurant model has been broken.
Yeah.
The margins are so small. We've been operating a business for 12 years. We've gotten to grow our business to $3.3 million in sales, up to a point where at our peak, we had 64 employees. But the margins are just so thin that we've never actively pursued opening additional units.
Why?
So that didn't make sense.
Why are margins? This is something I hear all the time. I hear it, whether you're talking New York, LA, Miami. Margins are thin with restaurants. Is it just because there's so many choices out there to remain competitive, or why do you have such a small profit margin?
There's a couple of factors. Number one is hospitality. For our brand, giving 5-star hospitality, when you come, our motto is to make a memorable moment. In order to make a memorable moment, we have to invest in having staff that care, that smile, that are happy when you come in.
That's great.
Nothing is worse in any environment, restaurant environment specifically, but even in a retail environment, when you walk in and nobody's there to greet you. Yeah. No one's there to smile. You feel like you're an inconvenience to the staff members that's there.
I get that.
That's a huge problem
at big chain restaurants. And that's why I don't like a lot of big chain restaurants, because it's just like, yuck. I don't like it. Yeah.
Correct. Or you go into the mall and you want to buy shoes, and the person behind the counter is on their phone and they don't want to, acknowledge that you're there. Or if you ask for them to go to the back of the store to get you size 12 shoes, they're upset about it.
No, out of stock.
That's a bad experience. I'd rather just go on my phone and order size 12 shoes that are going to come to my house, and that's a great experience, Even though I didn't really have any experience with a human, like, that's hospitality. That's the digital hospitality that we're talking about. What for us, if we wanted to continue to grow, those margins are just too thin. With minimum wage increasing the way that it is, the way that the service structure is set up, it just doesn't make sense for us to go and open up another 5,000 square foot restaurant and sports bar, because it's just too much work. It's too much work to build the sales that we want to build in order to get there. Plus, by having a complex menu, which most restaurants do, it makes it harder to give great, efficient service.
Do you view your menu as being complex?
It was until coronavirus. We reduced our menu by 90%. So now all we're doing is our barbecue. We're focused on our barbecue. We're focused on our digital hospitality. We're focused on improving our tech tools, our mobile first website, so that people can order. They can keep social distancing. They can come and pick up from any of our third party delivery partners.
That's interesting during this past period of time. What we've heard from a lot of business owners is because of COVID, they actually had to take a step back and rebrand their business, redo their process flows to make it work for the coronavirus era. That's essentially what it sounds like you just did there by doing the mobile first and the third party. You went through that, it sounds like?
Yeah, I mean, coronavirus just revealed what we knew was happening, and that's the underlying digital revolution that's happening to all businesses.
Digital transformation.
If you're literally an offline business and you have no component that's online, coronavirus is the great awakening. Where it's, well, I can't do anything if I don't have my products and my services on a mobile first website. Like what can I do? Curbside doesn't even exist if somebody doesn't know what's inside my store. If I don't have I'm a nursery and I don't have all the fruits and all the flowers that are listed on the website, what good is it if somebody's going to come and order curbside? That doesn't do any good.
Was it hard to implement for you? I mean, was it difficult learning curve?
Not for us. Not for us because we've been doing it. I mean, this has been a gradual evolution. We've been doing third-party delivery for the last 3 years. We've had a mobile-first website for the last 3 years, probably actually longer than that, at least the last 5 years. Right. And now we're just implementing the other technology. Like we've upgraded to Toast POS, which is a cloud-based point-of-sale software, which has replaced our Aloha technology. And their system allows us to upgrade the website, which is the user experience, the UI UX experience for our guest, that allows us to add the photos, to add the text. It's basically a WordPress for our own mobile first site, which is fantastic.
That's awesome. That's the front end solution. Are you using something as far as like an ERP or something like that in the back end as well too? Or are you doing it all through Toast?
That's the interesting thing of what's happening. There's so many different tech partners that we have, and integrating, they all want to be the one-stop solution. But what we're able to do is really pick and choose who are existing partners and how are they able to integrate with the new technologies that we bring on. Because what somebody does today is going to be different than what they're able to do in 6 months. Are they still evolving as a company, or are they, stagnant? Because if they are stagnant, they're going to have to keep up. Mobile first solutions, contactless payment. There's so many different things. Loyalty. The CRM side, all of these things, everyone's going to be fighting over data. And how does that data get integrated? We have analytical reports from every single tech partner that we have. The question is, what are the most important analytics that we should be looking at?
So with what I do for my main job, Vision 33, we do SAP Business One for small, mid-sized businesses. And we have a couple restaurants, but what I like about our solution is that we see the trend as far as, look, the ERP isn't going to be your best of breed for everything. You can't use it for this. Maybe it's not going as good as HubSpot for the marketing stuff, or the Toast POS, like you were saying. So what we kind of did is that the system's evolving to where, yes, this is the center of your universe. This is where you're going to take all that raw data and convert it into actual useful business intelligence. And you end up bringing in like the integrated data from the POS or from, third-party partners, whoever it is. And that's where everything kind of gets stored in the data warehouse, converted, and does your financials and stuff. And that's really a trend that is surprising me, because there's even smaller restaurants that typically they wouldn't, they'd be a couple years away from needing a solution like that. And we're getting close to those people now because they need to do that digital transformation, because how their businesses are evolving during this coronavirus pandemic.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's the most exciting part, because there are so many different opportunities, not just for tech partners, but for operators. There's so many solutions that they didn't even know that existed. that are available. And I think that's where it becomes so important with the tech partners that you have, is working with the sales team, the marketing team, to understand, what solutions are available to you before you go out and look for another solution. Because a lot of the times it might be within the same company that you're already using.
Always tell my customers, my prospects, you got to remember though, when you're looking at a technological solution, there's two parts for the recipe. Okay. The first one is the tech solution itself. Okay. You got to make sure that you find the right fit. If you get the right software though, and you have the wrong partner that's in charge of it or implementing it, you're going to have a failure, just as if you picked the wrong tech solution. And that's where you've got to make sure both your partner and the tech solution are all on the same level for you, or else you're going to have some heartache afterwards.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, one of the things that one of my close friends taught me when he switched our website hosting over to WordPress, I don't have an IT background. I don't know anything about digital. I studied sociology when I went to school, but he's the one that he demystified the internet for me, just basically saying, we live in a time and a place. And this was like in 2012 when he told me that if the software or the technology or the platform isn't easy enough for you, for me to understand and to do it myself, then it's probably shit. And if it's bad, then you're going to have to find something else, or something else will compete with it to be better.
Exactly.
Because the whole idea of having all these gatekeepers that, this is how we're going to onboard you, or we're going to schedule, 6 hours of your time to teach you how to use the software. Well, what kind of software am I implementing? If I can't do it, if my managers can't do it, if my front of the house staff can't do it, then what are we doing here?
Yeah, no, exactly. I want to get to a couple more topics real quick just before we have to, wrap up here. You've mentioned a few times your third-party delivery service partners. How do they actually work for you? Have they been a positive? Have they given you negative experiences?
So third-party delivery is obviously a hot button topic. There's a lot of restaurant owners that are against third-party delivery because of the commissions that they're charging, anywhere from 20 to 30%. One of the things that we've understood a long time now, going back to our relationship with Yelp, is that we can't have a prejudice towards a technology platform that's going to give us access to customers that we wouldn't have access to.
But do you mind that they charge more? Because it's like if I call you up and say you offer delivery, and I call you up and the lunch platter is $10. I try to order that same thing through Uber Eats or DoorDash. It probably would be $12. You don't mind them raising those prices with the inconsistency? That's not an issue at all?
Well, we get to set those prices.
Oh, do you?
So that's up to us. Yeah. So that's up to us. And that just goes back to negotiation 101.
Right.
Every single partner, no matter what someone tells you, this is the sticker price for the car that you're going to buy. That doesn't mean that that's the price that somebody's going to pay when they're actually done. Right.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought that they set those.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh no, they don't set no. Yeah. Everything is negotiable. No matter what in business, everything's negotiable. Yes. And even when they tell you it's not negotiable, we go and we negotiate.
That's perfect advice.
Because that's the truth. And it doesn't matter, it's published in this article, or my friend down the street, he's got a deal with DoorDash and he gets this. Well, guess what? He probably has a different rep, and that rep has a different boss. But ultimately, every single tech partner, they need people like me. We need them just as much as they need us.
Partnership.
And it's a partnership. And like I said, there's people on those platforms. So there's people that are looking for barbecue that are on Uber Eats that probably haven't downloaded DoorDash. So for me to discriminate and say, we're only going to do Uber Eats because they give us 20% instead of 21%. That's just bad business.
People,
Right now, we have to figure out in this wild west of who's going to be the best partner moving forward. And in order to do that, we've got to have data, right? We get the data.
Look at the way that the programs work. With American Express, you have a platinum card. You get, I get $15 or $20 a month for Uber, whether it's Uber or Uber Eats, that I can spend each month. If you're not with that, you lose that. But then Chase Sapphire with their Premier card, they do it with DoorDash to where I get credits back on my statement, that I get the DoorDash premium and stuff, and we switch back and forth between the two. But I think if you only go with one or the other, you're losing a lot of potential business, because maybe people with American Express will only use Uber Eats because of that benefit. You know what I mean?
That's correct. Yeah, and I mean that goes back to what I was talking about with Yelp and Facebook. Is restaurant owners. I see restaurant owner forums all the time where they say that, I don't like Yelp because Yelp they make, if I don't advertise with Yelp, then they will publish all the bad reviews and they won't put up any of my good reviews. Like, just these ridiculous statements that really have nothing to do with the fact that there are people on Yelp specifically that are looking for food. Like, not only are they looking for food, but now they're looking for other services. I mean, Yelp is such an incredible SEO search engine that allows you to claim your free business page. And no matter what service you're in, once you go and you Google that through Chrome or Safari or whatever your browser of choice is, Yelp is going to be one of the top curated lists.
Definitely. And with Yelp, me personally, I do 2 reviews. Either, and even with the bad review, it's either the 2 reviews I do. One is when it's extraordinary service, well overperformed, even if it was a really expensive place. And I'm like, wow, this was really expensive, but guess what? Lived up to the price. I'm fine with it. I'll also leave one if it's a very, very negative experience, but I very rarely do it if I just went there once and it was bad. I usually, if I go there 2 or 3 times and it's every single time it's this bad, I'm never going there again, and they're going to get a bad review, because I'm human. I realize nobody's going to be perfect every single day. There's going to be hiccups. Right. So I want to ask you about Grubhub, though. I think out of all the places, Grubhub is the one that I've heard the worst negative comments about, just because of the fact that it seems like they were being a little bit sneaky, registering restaurants that didn't even know that they were registered, having the phone calls go to Grubhub. Have you had any of those experiences at all?
Yeah, Grubhub, at one point, I believe it was a couple years ago, they essentially claimed our restaurant as a delivery partner, even though we never signed any paperwork with them. So I sent a message to Grubhub and let them know, at that point, we weren't interested in it. Now we are a partner with Grubhub. We're working on a partnership with Postmates as well. I mean, there's a lot of consolidation that's going on, both with all these tech companies as well. The issue, I think, is scale. I mean, to be honest with you, these companies are not profitable, yet they are growing the same way that, any of these other large titans of the industries that we know. They're trying to get market share. So they're trying to grow and scale at a pace that is very difficult. I mean, the amount of restaurants that have signed on to add these delivery services in the last 3 months it's at a record pace, right? So what are you going to do when you're a sales territory manager and you're used to handling, adding 10 restaurants a month to all of a sudden having 100 restaurants to onboard a month, And then when you talk about Grubhub, having a partnership with Yelp, or, all of these moving parts, all it takes is a flip of a switch where now all of a sudden, if you have a partnership or if you acquire a tech company, then you have access to data that is a restaurant owner, and you think that you're doing them a service. I mean, the amount of moving parts that are going on at such a rapid rate, it's important to understand that you have to pay attention. I mean, you have to, as a business owner, you have to pay attention to your digital footprint. I mean, I think that's ultimately, the most important thing, because just because we're active on Google My Business and we're active on Yelp and we're active on Instagram and YouTube doesn't mean that next door isn't going to be the next hot place where people are looking for services and products. Doesn't mean that we don't need to claim our Nextdoor business profile and start to understand, well, how is Nextdoor doing it? And it does get intimidating for a small business.
Because there's so many out there.
I mean, let's be honest.
Right.
There's so many out there. Correct.
So I guess, I saw you there on KBBS, as far as, I believe the headline, I have it here, trying to find a new normal for restaurants.
When we finally get out of this global pandemic thing, which keeps lingering apparently, what do you think the new normal is going to be?
I mean, I think one of the most important things is that this is the greatest time for a small business, not just a restaurant, not just a bar, any business to claim their digital profile, to really focus in on what do they do online and how are they selling things online. And for us, we can no longer discriminate how people get our barbecue. I can't expect, just because I think that we've done a great job in the last 12 years of building our brand and letting people know that we do great barbecue in Spring Valley, that the 3 million people in San Diego County, that somebody's going to have to drive all the way to Spring Valley to get our barbecue. So my goal is to figure out how do I get barbecue to the rest of the county. And I'm going to do that through ghost kitchens, through virtual kitchens, through delivery, through catering. I'm going to figure out any way possible so that when somebody wants a incredible rack of barbecue ribs, they can order it on their phone and they'll get it delivered to where they are, whether that's at work or Little League or at the beach, wherever that might be, in San Diego. That's what I'm. That's
so I guess you can say, to summarize that the new normal for restaurants, you think it's going to be innovation, as far as innovate to expand your reach.
It's like that for every business. Like if you are only focused on your immediate trade area, if you're focused on foot traffic, or I have a business that's in a mall and I'm expecting all these people that go to Macy's to all of a sudden stop at my barbecue sauce store, like that can't be your focus. Your focus is this is a global world that we live in. If I get my barbecue sauce on my website, then somebody that cares about barbecue in Bulgaria, they can order barbecue sauce and ship to Bulgaria. Like I can't just be focused on the things that are happening just on my street, or just because that's where I'm spending all this money on my real estate. Real estate is now the most important. Real estate is your digital real estate.
Yeah, no, definitely. Speaking of digital real estate and barbecue sauce, do you have your barbecue sauce on your website?
We do. We have it on our website right now. We're working. Obviously, the supply chain has been a little bit more difficult during coronavirus, but we've sold more barbecue sauce retail bottles now than we've ever sold in the restaurant, and that's because of third-party delivery. Literally, now we get to put it. When somebody is ordering a tailgater, which is all of our slow smoke meat, all of our sides, feeds a family of 5, we have an option for a box that pops up. Would you like to add a retail sauce of, our house barbecue sauce or a jalapeno barbecue sauce? Just that question alone has led to, a 200% increase in our retail barbecue sauce.
I am going to be buying barbecue sauce today.
we will send you out a care package.
Hey, if you send me thank you. I love that. I like I said, I'm a huge, even in the dead of winter here in Philly, I'll still be outside cooking on the grill. We love grilling all the time. So I guess to kind of wrap this up, what other, you've given us so many different topics around a lot of different things, mostly focused around digital transformation and innovation in the hospitality restaurant business. Is there any other items you want to mention or talk about? Any other key points you feel is important to get out to everybody?
Yeah, I think there's never been a more important time to have a serious conversation with yourself about your relationship to your cell phone. Your smartphone, the things that you're able to do as a small business owner, no matter what position you are in the company, if you can find the courage to learn how to take photos, to take videos of yourself talking about the things that you care about, the things that you're an expert in, and learn how to start publishing those things onto the social media platforms, there will be so much opportunities for you within your company, within your business, within your village, within your industry that you won't know what to do with. But you have to get over yourself. I had to get over myself knowing that I was a kid from San Diego, young man from San Diego, trying to talk about barbecue in a space that I shouldn't be talking about barbecue. But ultimately, nobody knew the Cali BBQ story better than I did. So once I got over myself and decided, okay, no one else is going to promote me. Nobody else is going to give a shit about what we're doing. You have to care about what you're doing. And by doing that, you have a 4K phone, you have a 4K camera in your pocket. Learn how to go live on Facebook. Learn how to go live on Instagram. learn how to pub. And people that are doing it, they're seeing incredible results. Go on LinkedIn and write 1 minute. Talk about what you do for 1 minute and publish that and see what happens.
Especially, I think, in the food industry, especially because there's so many people that just love food, and seeing those pictures or videos, and then you're talking about that stuff. If you have the passion and you show that with what you're doing, I mean, that stuff catches on. I mean, I'm looking at chefs from, some semi-famous ones that I have in my Facebook to even just unknown chefs, but they'll get hundreds of likes, if not thousands, on just a picture like, hey, just cook this up tonight at the restaurant. And, it really is. And that's also one of the cheapest forms of advertisement, too, because it kind of goes viral if people like it.
And I would argue that it doesn't even have to go viral. I would argue that all it takes is 1 or 2 people to see what you're doing, to see that you care, to give you a better opportunity either within your company or a different business relationship that you're trying to cultivate. Just by publishing it on those platforms, you start to make yourself, you become different. You become different than everybody else. It seems like everyone's doing it, but I guarantee you within your space, whatever you're doing, you can make a mark for yourself. Definitely.
Hey, Shawn, thank you again for coming on here. Please tell everybody, all the people watching on YouTube, all the people listening on iTunes and Spotify, how can they listen to your podcast and also more about your Cali BBQ?
Visit calibbq.media. You can always shoot me an email at Shawn, SHAWN, at calibbq.media. Digital Hospitality is the name of the podcast on all the podcast platforms. Cali BBQ Media, you can just go to Google and search that. And if we've done our job, then every single tab, there'll be content there for you to peruse.
That's awesome. We'll also have the links in all the descriptions. Hey, Shawn, thank you again. And I got to tell you, this has been an incredible discussion, extremely informative. I think people will love it. And I would love to get you back here maybe 5-6 months down the road, and let's see how things have changed between now and then.
Absolutely. We'll have our ghost kitchen up and operating by then. So our second location, which is 200 square feet in downtown San Diego, we'll give you a progress report.
Yeah, that'd be good. I'd like us to talk about ghost kitchens next time as well, too, because I've heard a lot about those, and I wanted to get some takes on those then. Thank you. Yep, I'll see you.
Got it.
Yep.
Thank you, David.
I really love these types of interviews because people like Shawn, they're not one-dimensional. I mean, you have Shawn the businessman, Shawn the restaurant owner, Shawn the caterer, Shawn the podcast host, and I can go on and on and on. Shawn the dad. I really loved hearing how Shawn is using technology to advance his business. I mean, not using the digital photos from stock photos, maybe taking a crappier picture, but of the real food. Things like that are pretty important, and he's using it through social media, through using digital services that are out there, as well as using digital tech, as in producing a podcast, to do everything he can to brand and get the word out there. He's doing things that he's never previously done to stay afloat, and it's working for the most part. Doing a podcast like Shark Bite Biz or Cali BBQ Media, it's a great marketing tool, and it helps bring a level of transparency to all of us. People know Shawn and can see his personality and how he is, just as he was explaining, without actually knowing him. So you get to meet the individual before you actually start working with the individual. And you get to learn a lot about people like us, really just on that personal level, not just what you see on a website or a LinkedIn profile. You heard the passionate story of how he has had to run his business and the sacrifices he has had to make when he laid off some of his team members. So sad, but like he was saying, he was very transparent about the process, and transparency in business is critical, especially during times like these. I mean, if you're laying people off and cutting salaries, but yet you're hitting margins and numbers like you never did previously, I mean, people are going to think that's kind of shady. And being transparent, explaining things to your subordinates, your managers, directors, execs, whatever it may be, is usually the best way to find success. And again, I just kind of want to reiterate how awesome I think what he's doing with his podcast, talking about ways that those in the restaurant biz can stay afloat during, hopefully, what is the end of this global pandemic. PPP has really started running out for most companies. And just like this podcast, Shawn has taken a mission to help businesses achieve growth in a difficult time. Yes, Shawn's sending me a care package. I'm getting some barbecue sauces, and I'm definitely going to give him a huge shout out on Facebook. Once I get it, I'll do some unboxing photos, and I'll tell you how it all came out when I throw this sauce onto some ribs we're going to make. You all know the routine by now. This is a 21st episode. Can you believe it? This is the 11th week that this show has been alive. So close to getting that 90-day mark, but we're going as strong as possible. So please leave a comment down below and tell us how you plan to help all these mom and pop restaurants and businesses in the industry stay afloat. Let's just get a general conversation going about all that good stuff. Again, please make sure you like, subscribe, and please share this video to help to get the word out, especially a video like this, so that those restaurant owners and managers that are struggling can perhaps get some new ideas about how they can achieve growth in this very difficult time. Once again, I'm David Strausser. This is Shark Bite Biz, and I'll see you again next episode. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Shark Bite Biz. We hope you got some insightful info from this podcast. Be sure to subscribe to us through your favorite podcast app and visit us on the web at www.sharkbitebiz.com. How has business changed for you in the 20s? Email us at podcast@sharkbitebiz.com so you can join us and share your story.